Churches were supposed to be sanctuaries, sacred ground where even the bloodiest warriors respected the rules. June 8th, 793. Lindisfarne Monastery sits on a tidal island off the Northumbrian coast. Monks copy manuscripts, they preserve relics. They think stone walls and the name of God protect them. Then 3 ships appear on the horizon, maybe 4. Striped sails, dragon prows. The monks do not panic because they do not yet understand what is coming. These could be traders. These could be merchants. By the time the axes come out, it is too late. The pagans have desecrated God's sanctuary. They shed blood around the altar. They carry off treasures. They carry off something else. People. The Annals of Ulster will record what happens 28 years later in 821 at Howth near Dublin. They plunder the settlement. They carry off a great number of women into captivity. Not silver, not gold. Women, a great number. The slave trade has begun. Also, comment from which city you are hearing this from. This script is researched and factual using sources from the Annals of Ulster, published in 1983 by the Dublin Institute for Advanced Studies, and from the archaeological work of Ben Raffield at Uppsala University, published in the journal Slavery and Abolition in April 20. 19, showing iron collars from Dublin and Hedeby that match restraint patterns across human trafficking sites from antiquity to the modern period. Now, back to the information. All unarmed, all vulnerable. The first expedition to Lindisfarne is small. Archaeologist David Petz at Durham University estimates 3 to 4 ships. Maybe 100 raiders total. That is enough. Monasteries are not defended like fortified towns. The Vikings do not respect sanctuary law because sanctuary law is Christian and they are not. They enter, they take, they leave. By the time local forces mobilize, the longships are already gone. The tactic works. They will use it for the next 270 years. The numbers become staggering. 804. Vikings hit the monastery at Lyminge in Kent. Monks flee to Canterbury. The monastery at Lyminge survives. Silver coins from several decades later prove monks returned before final abandonment at the century's end. 841. The monastery at St. Wandril on the Seine in Normandy. Raiders take goods, they also take people. 280 clerics captured from the monastery at Kildare in Ireland in 886. That is not a raid, that is an industrial operation. 1011. Canterbury. The Anglo-Saxon Chronicle records both consecrated men and women taken. Women. Consecrated women. Nuns. Church records usually focus on stolen silver. They mention captives almost as an afterthought. But the annals are clear. People are portable wealth. They enter the Viking slave system. The word in Old Norse is thrall. The word in modern English comes from somewhere else. Slav. Because so many slaves came from Slavic Eastern Europe that the ethnicity became the trade name. The Viking world runs on forced labor. Neil Price at Uppsala University estimates slaves comprise 10% of Scandinavia's population during the Viking Age. That is 1 person in 10. Anna Kjellström at Stockholm University examined skeletal remains from graves in Norway, Sweden, and Denmark. Decapitated bodies buried alongside elite Vikings. Signs of abuse before death, signs of different diets. Bone isotope analysis shows some ate mostly fish, while their masters ate meat and dairy. DNA analysis by Elise Naumann at the University of Oslo proves these decapitated bodies were not relatives. They were property. They were sacrificed. He witnesses a funeral. A chieftain dies. His slaves are asked who will die with him. A girl volunteers. She is 15. For 10 days she drinks and feasts. She is dressed in fine clothes. She is raped by the chieftain's men. On the funeral day, they place the dead chieftain in his ship with sacrificed animals. A dog cut in 2, 2 horses, 2 cows, a rooster, a hen, then the girl. An old woman they call the Angel of Death strangles her with rope while stabbing her between the ribs. They burn everything. Ibn Fadlan describes it in detail. The account survives in manuscripts at the Royal Library in Copenhagen. Scholars debate how common this practice was, but the archaeology confirms it happened. Skeletal evidence from Flakstad, Norway, Grimstad, Sweden, the Isle of Man, bodies with their heads removed. Positioned as offerings. It takes 1 person 5 years to weave. Ships need 2 sails. Vikings are building fleets of hundreds of ships in the 9th century. That is a labor crisis. Women in Scandinavia traditionally handle textile work. Captured women become forced weavers. Second, demographics. DNA studies of modern Iceland, published in the American Journal of Human Genetics in 2014. 2/3 of Iceland's founding female population has Gaelic origins, Irish, Scottish. 1/3 has Nordic roots. The male population shows the reverse, Nordic men, Gaelic women. The math is clear. Viking men took women from the British Isles to Iceland. Whether as wives or slaves, the genetic legacy remains. Archaeological excavations at Temple Bar in Dublin by the National Museum of Ireland uncovered a small wattle structure, 3 meters by 2.5 meters, 11th to 12th century, animal pen, but the structure contains a hearth, human fleas. Archaeologists suggest early use as captive housing. The Laxdela saga describes a slave market. 12 women held in a tented booth. One is Melkorka, Irish, sold by a Russ trader. The saga is fiction, but the markets are real. Iron collars and chains found in Dublin. The National Museum of Ireland displays one from Ardekillen Lake in County Roscommon, found in a dugout canoe near Crannog in the mid-19th century. It is long, it is heavy, it is designed for human necks. Birka in Sweden, 4 examples. These sites are not rural farms. They are urban trade centers, harbor areas. The collars cluster near docks. That placement matters. Slaves arrive by ship. They are held near the harbor. They are sold. The collars match restraint designs from across human history. Archaeologist Ben Raffield argues in Slavery and Abolition Journal, April 2019, that suggestions these restrained animals do not hold up. The context is wrong. Animals are restrained in rural areas. These collars appear in cities, in harbors, in trade centers. They restrain humans. The destinations span continents. Some captives stay in Scandinavia, work farms, build ships, weave sails. Some go to the North Atlantic, Iceland, Greenland, the Faroes. Some go east. Novgorod has street names, High Street, Slave Street. The Rus traffic captives down the Volga. They sell to Arab merchants at Bulgar. Ibn Hawqal writes in 977, Arab geographer, he describes a Viking slave trade extending across the Mediterranean from Spain to Egypt. The flow of silver dirhams confirms it. Coins minted in Samarkand, Tashkent, Balkh. Found in graves in Sweden, in Denmark, and England. The slave trade fuels Viking urbanization. Hedeby expands. Birka grows. The wealth comes from human cargo. Irish annals record kings and bishops seized then released, presumably for payment, or killed at the ships when negotiations fail. The life of St. Findan records his story, 9th century. Findan is Irish nobility from Leinster. His sister is captured by Vikings. He goes to ransom her. They capture him instead. Some Vikings argue it is wrong to seize negotiators. They free him. Later, they capture him again, take him to Orkney. He escapes. His account survives because he becomes a monk, and his story is written down. For every Findan whose story survives, thousands of stories are lost. The slaves themselves rarely leave traces. Accessible only at low tide, perfect for ship raids. Lyminge in Kent, St. Wandril on the Seine, Armagh inland, but accessible by river systems. Vikings navigate with ruthless skill. 2. Wealth concentration. Monasteries accumulate donations, gold, silver, precious manuscripts. The Codex Aureus is stolen by Vikings, then sold back to an Anglo-Saxon couple who write inside the book that they obtained it from the heathen army with pure gold. They do not wish these holy books to remain in heathen possession. The transaction is recorded. The monks pay ransom for their own books. 3. Population density. Monasteries house dozens or hundreds of people. Kildare, 280 clerics. Armagh in Ireland, over 700 captives taken in a single raid per Irish annals. Not just monks. Lay servants, people seeking sanctuary. Refugees, women. The attack has not happened by chance. It is a sign of great guilt. The Vikings simply see an undefended wealth center full of portable goods, including human labor. They take what they can carry, they leave, they return next year. 840. Vikings begin building fortified encampments, long forts, Dublin, Lynn, Duachrael. These are not temporary camps. These are proto-urban centers. Archaeological excavations show they function as military bases, production centers, trade hubs, slaveholding facilities. The camps allow sustained raiding deeper inland. Vikings overwinter. They wait out the season. They accumulate captives. In spring, they move the human cargo to ships, transport to markets. Dublin grows into a major slave port. The camps become permanent settlements. Dublin thrives for 3 centuries on slave revenue. Most of the monks are led away into captivity. The distinction matters. Servants have no ransom value. Monks do. The Vikings are selective. They understand value differentials. They kill who they cannot profit from. They capture who they can sell or ransom. This is not mindless violence. This is economic calculation. This research draws from the archaeological work of Anna Kjellström at Stockholm University, published in 2016, examining skeletal evidence of Viking-age slavery and from the annals of the Four Masters, compiled between 1592 and 1636, but preserving 9th century. Records showing specific raid dates and casualty counts from contemporary sources. Now back to the story. The founding population shows conquest. The sagas sometimes romanticize this. Laxdela Saga presents Irish princesses sold